Hello and welcome to Falcon Security. This is Tushar and today we'll be covering sysinternals room on tryhackmate.com, in which we'll learn to use the sysinternals tools to analyze Windows system or applications. Introduction. What are the tools known as sysinternals? The sysinternals tools is a compilation of over 70 plus Windows based tools. Each of the tools fall into one of the following categories: file and disk utilities, networking utilities, process utilities, security utilities, system information, and miscellaneous. The sysinternals tools and its website sysinternals.com was created by Mark Russinovich back in the late 90s, along with an individual named Bryce Cogswell, under the company sysinternals software. In 2005, Microsoft acquired WinInternals software and Mark Russinovich joined Microsoft. Today, he is the CTO of Microsoft Azure. Mark Russinovich made headlines when he reported the Sony embedded rootkits into their music CDs back in 2005. This discovery was made known thanks to one of the sysinternals tools he was testing. You can read about that here, so there is a link which I will be giving you in the description box. He also discovered in 2006 that Symantec was using rootkit-like technology. Also, I'll give the link in the description. The sysinternals tools are extremely popular among IT professionals who manage Windows systems. These tools are so popular that even red teamers and adversaries alike use them. Throughout this room, I'll note which tools Mitre has identified to have been used by adversaries. The goal of this room is to introduce you to a handful of sysinternals tools with the hopes that you will expand your knowledge with your own research and curiosity. Hopefully you can add sysinternals to your toolkit as many already have. So let's come to the question, when did Microsoft acquire sysinternals tools? So as mentioned above, the Microsoft acquired sysinternals tools in 2005. Let's submit. Next, installing the sysinternals suite. Time to get our hands dirty with sysinternals. The sysinternals tool can be downloaded from the local system or the tool can be run directly from the web. Regarding local installation, you can download the entire suite or just the tool which you need. If you wish to download a tool or two but not the entire suite, you can navigate to the sysinternals utilities page, which I will give you in the description. If you know which tool you want to download, then this is fine. The tools are listed in alphabetical order and are not separated by categories. Alternatively, you can use the category links to find and download the tools. This route is better since there are so many tools you can focus on all the tools of interest instead of entire index. For example, let's say you need tools to inspect Windows processes. Then you can navigate to the process utilities page and download your tool. Notice that you are conveniently supplied with a brief explanation for each tool. Let's see on the sysinternals utilities index, we can see on the left hand the 5 categories which we studied earlier and the tools with proper description of each single tool. Lastly, you can do the same for sysinternals live URL. This is the same URL if you wish to use or run the tool directly from the web. If you choose to download from this page, it is similar to the sysinternals utility index page. The tools are listed in alphabetical order and are not separated by categories. If you wish to download sysinternals suite, you can download the zip file. So basically these are all the important tools which sysinternals provide. After you download the zip file, you need to extract the files. After the files are extracted, the extra step, which is by choice, is to add the folder path to the environment variables. By doing so, we can launch the tools via the command line or PowerShell without navigating to the directory the tools are inside. So, environment variables can be edited from system properties. The system properties can be launched via the command line running sysdm.cpl. Let me show you. We use the run, then sysd So as you can see, this is the system properties of our Windows operating system. Next we'll go to the advanced tab and we'll see environment variables. Let's click on it and we get all the environment variables which our operating systems loads. So basically here we can add our sysinternal tools variable name and variable value to access it from directly from the command line. Now let's come to a question: what is the last tool listed within the sysinternal suite? Let's check it on the website live.sysinternals.com and we can find that Zoomit. Zoomit is the last tool which we find. Our next method for running sysinternals tools is by using sysinternals live website. As per the sysinternals website, sysinternals live is a service that enables you to execute sysinternals tools directly from the web without hunting for and manually downloading them. Simply enter a tool's sysinternals live path into Windows Explorer or command prompt as live.sysinternals.com / the tool name which you want to use. Let's take a look at how we can do this. Based on the instructions to launch Process Monitor from the web, the syntax is /live.sysinternals.com /tool /procmon.exe. Let's go to our PowerShell window. We should execute it as an administrator. So let's try to execute this command, copy and paste. As you can see, it's giving an error of the object not found and it fails. To resolve this issue, the WebDAV client must be installed and running on the machine. The WebDAV protocol is what allows a machine to access a remote machine, running a WebDAV share and perform actions in it. On a Windows 10 client, the WebDAV client is installed, but the client is most likely not running. If you try to run a sysinternal tool, it will fail with the message the network path was not found. The service needs to be started before attempting to call sysinternal tool in this fashion. So let's get service web client. This command will tell the status of our web client server. As you can see that it is stopped right now. So let's start it by giving start service web client. Let's check the status. Now it's fine. Now it's running. Let's try to give the command which you want to execute. Okay, as you can see that it is executed. Okay, you can see that it is running fine. So I think that this is the best method to launch sysinternal tools. Also, network discovery needs to be enabled as well. This setting can be enabled in the network and sharing center. There are a few ways to open network and sharing center. Here is a neat command line to launch it. Also, network discovery needs to be enabled as well. This setting can be enabled in the network and sharing center. There are a few ways to open networking and sharing center. Here is a neat command line to launch it. As you can see this command control.exe /name Microsoft.network and sharing center. This will execute the network and sharing center. So click on change advanced sharing settings, then click on network discovery. Basically we should be connected to internet. This is just to check that. Okay, the same process as with the Windows 10 client applies from this point. Make sure the web client service is running. Make sure network discovery is enabled. Now with all the necessary components installed and enabled, the local machine is ready to run sysinternal tools from the web. There are two ways the tools can be run. Run the tool from the command line or create a network drive and run the tool from the map drive. Run the tool from the command line as we have seen the command /live.internals.sysinternals.com /tool /procmon.exe. The next method is also easy. Run tool from a map drive. Now the step includes mapping the tool to a drive. Now note, the asterisk will auto assign a drive letter. The asterisk can be replaced with an actual drive letter instead. So let's map it. As you can see, the mapping is successful. DriveZ is now connected to live.sysinternals.com. The website is now browsable within the local machine. Now we can just give our drive and get access to any sysinternal tool which we like. Now that we got that out of the way, time to start exploring some of these tools. Let's come to the question, what service needs to be enabled on the local host to interact with live.sysinternals.com? So as we have seen earlier, it's the web client service. Let's write it down. Now let's come to our next task, file and disk utilities. Each task within this room will focus on one or two tools per section. Again, the goal is to introduce you to the sysinternals tools, but there are far too many tools to go into each tool in depth. The first tool is SIGCheck. SIGCheck is a command line utility that shows file version number, timestamp information, and digital signature details, including certificate chains. It also includes an option to check a file status on VirusTotal, a site that performs automated file scanning against over 40 antivirus engines, and an option to upload a file for scanning. Official definition. From the official SIGCheck page, a use case is identified towards the bottom of the page. If you have completed the core Windows processes room, you should be aware that the location of all the executables is in C Windows System 32, except for the Explorer.exe, which is in C Windows. Use case, check for the unsigned values in C Windows System 32. The command is sigcheck-u-e C Windows System 32. Parameter usage, -u if VirusTotal check is enabled, show files that are unknown by VirusTotal or have non-zero detection, otherwise show only unsigned files. Now -e, scan executable images only. Now the point to note is that if the results were different, then we should warrant an investigation. Let's see the next tool, which is Streams. The NTFS file system provides application the ability to create alternate data streams of information. By default, all data is stored in a file's main unnamed data stream. But by using the syntax file ;stream, you are able to read and write to alternates. Alternate data stream, or ADS, is a file attribute specific to Windows NTFS, the new technology file system. Every file has at least one data stream, represented as $data, and ADS allows file to contain more than one stream of data. Natively, Windows Explorer doesn't display ADS to the user. There are third-party executables that can be used to view this data, but PowerShell gives you the ability to view ADS for files. Malware writers have used ADS to hide data in an endpoint, but not all its uses are malicious. When you download a file from the internet onto an endpoint, there are identifiers written to ADS to identify that it was downloaded from the internet. We can see in the image a file downloaded from the internet, as there is an identifier provided by a symbol $data. Since the file has this identifier, additional security measures are added to its properties. As we can see here, the properties of this sysinternal suite includes the security tab under the attributes section. Our next tool is hdelete. Hdelete is a command line utility that takes a number of options. In any given use, it allows you to delete one or more files or directories, or to cleanse the free space on a logical disk. As per the official documentation page, hdelete Secure Delete implemented the DoD 5220.22-M Department of Defense Clearing and Sanitizing Protocol. As we can see here, there are three passes in DoD 5220.22-M wipe method. Pass 1 indicates writes a 0 and verifies the write. Pass 2 writes a 1 and verifies the write. Pass 3 writes a random character and verifies the write. The source of liveware.com has been given, which I'll share you in the description box below, which includes information regarding data sanitization methods. It's a nice reading to go through. Now, hdelete has been used by adversaries in associated with MITRE techniques, T1485 data restriction and T10170.004 indicator remover on host file deletion. Its MITRE ID is S0195. You can review this tool more in depth by visiting the sysinternals delete page. Other tools fall under the file and disk utilities category. I encourage you to explore these tools at your own leisure. I'll provide you this link in the description below. So let's come to the question. There is a txt file on the desktop named file.txt. What is the text within the ADS? Now let's start our RDP connection, and here is the file .txt. Let's open the PowerShell and see if the ADS is present in this file.txt. First let's go to the desktop. Set guide item, the path, file.txt, then stream. Here we got it that the ads.txt is the stream. Now let's get the content, specify the path and input the stream folder, which is ads.txt. Okay, so we get the hidden text. I am hiding in the stream. Let's copy and paste. So now let's come to task 5, networking utilities. The tool which we'll be covering is TCPview. TCPview is a Windows program that will show you detailed listing of all TCPs and UDP endpoint on your system, including the local and remote addresses and state of TCP connections on Windows Server 2008, Vista and XP. TCPview also reports the name of the process that owns the endpoint. TCPview provides a more informative and conveniently presented subset of the netstat program that ships with Windows. The TCPview download includes TCPvcon, a command line version with the same functionality. Official definition. This is a good time to mention that Windows has a built-in utility that provides the same functionality. This tool is called Resource Monitor. There are many ways to open this tool. From the command line we can use respawn. As you can see here, let's open the remote desktop protocol and run respawn. As you can see the Resource Monitor screen, we have different charts of network, TCP connections and Ethernet. Also we can find the instances of svc host.exe and all the process running. So by looking at the screen we can get the information regarding CPU, disk, network and memory. This tool can also be called from the performance tab within the task manager. Now back to the TCP view. The below image shows the default view for TCP view. Now the output only displays processes within an established outbound connection. Other tools fall under the networking utilities category. I encourage you to explore these tools at your own leisure. So I'll be providing you this link below the video. So let's do the question. Using Whois tools, what is the ISP organization for the remote address in the screenshots above? So in the screenshots, the IP is 52.154.170 and 73. Let's do a Whois lookup and put the IP address in the screenshot 52.154.170.73 and let's search it. So as we see here, it's basically of Microsoft.com. So the organization name is Microsoft Corporation. Next, process utilities. Note some of these tools require you to run as an administrator. The tools which we will be covering is Autoruns. This utility, which has the most comprehensive knowledge of auto-starting locations of any startup monitor, shows you what programs are configured to run during system bootup or login. And when you start various built-in Windows applications like Internet Explorer, Explorer and media players, these programs and drivers include ones in your startup folder, run ones and other registry keys. Autoruns reports Explorer shell extensions, toolbars, browser helper objects, WinLogon notifications, auto start services, and much more. Autoruns goes away beyond other auto start utilities. Official definition. This is a good tool to search for any malicious entries created in the local machine to establish persistence. Launch autoruns. So below is a snapshot of autoruns, showing the first couple of items from everything tab. Normally there are a lot of entries within this tab. The below image is a snapshot of image hijacks tabs. Let's go to our remote connection and start autoruns. So basically this is the home screen of the autoruns tool and we are in the everything tab. So basically we can check explore. Let's go back. The next tool is procdump. Procdump is a command line utility whose primary purpose is monitoring an application for CPU spikes and generating crash dumps during a spike that an administrator or a developer can use to determine the cause of the spike. Official definition. Alternatively, you can use the Process Explorer to do the same. Right click on the process to create a mini dump or full dump of the process. Please refer to the example listed on the procdump page to learn about all of the available options running these tools. So I'll be giving this link in the description below. It is a Microsoft Docs procdump tutorial. The next one is Process Explorer. First let's check the procdump utility. So basically we are just creating reports of a system crash, or we can use Process Explorer. Let's go to Process Explorer, run. And here we can create a dump, a mini dump or a full dump for the generator repos. The next is Process Explorer. The Process Explorer display consists of two sub-windows. The top window always shows a list of currently active processes, including the names of their owning accounts, whereas the information displayed in the bottom window depends on the mode that Process Explorer is in. If it is in handle mode, you will see the handles that the process selected in the top window has opened. If Process Explorer is in DLL mode, you will see the DLLs and memory mapped files that the process has loaded. Official definition. This tool was touched on slightly within the core Windows processes room. Process Hacker was intentionally used in that room to broaden your exposure to various tools that essentially perform the same task with subtle differences. Since much of the basic foundational information was discussed in the core Windows processes room, Process Explorer will be briefly touched. In the following images, let's look at svchost.exe PID 3636 more closely. So basically, we are seeing the properties of svchost.exe. Now this process is associated with web client service that is needed to connect live.sysinternals.com. There should be a web traffic listed in the TCP/IP tabs. So ideally it would be wise to check that IP is what we assume it is. So basically we have to check the TCP/IP tab and check the route and check that the IP address are not different from which we assume. So various online tools can be utilized to verify the authenticity of an IP address. For this demonstration, I will use the Talos Reputation Center. So basically, Talos Intelligence link is given. I'll also share this link with you. We have to first verify it. So basically, this is the website and we can look up for IP addresses here. As we got the network owner Microsoft Corporation, it's fine. As mentioned in the procexp description, we can see open handles associated with the process within the bottom window. Listed as an open handle in the connection to the remote web app folder, there is an option with procexp to verify signatures also. Once enabled, it shows up as a column within the process view. Other options to note include run at logon, replace task manager, You may have noticed that some of the processes within Process Explorer have different colors. These colors have meanings. Below is a snippet from Malwarebytes explaining what each of the color means. The color coding has been displayed. As we see that purple color indicates the file to be packed, red means the process is exiting, green means the process is freshly spawned, dark blue indicates the process is selected, and the pink indicates the process is a service. The next tool is Process Monitor. Process Monitor is an advanced monitoring tool for Windows that shows real-time file systems. So let's check the Process Explorer. Go to a RDP. You can see the colors associated with each process. So basically this dark gray colors means that the file has been suspended. So we can change the options like run at logon, or we can use the API virustotal.com to check the malicious files. Also we can configure colors if we like. So let's move on to our next tool, Process Monitor. Process Monitor is an advanced monitoring tool for Windows that shows real-time file system registry and process thread activity. It combines the features of two legacy sysinternals utilities, FileMon and RegMon, and adds an extensive list of enhancements including rich and non-destructive filtering, comprehensive event properties such as session IDs and usernames, reliable process information, full thread stacks with integrated symbol support for each operation, simultaneously logging into a file, and much more. Its uniquely powerful features will make Process Monitor a core utility in your system troubleshooting and malware hunting toolkit. Official definition. In the below snapshot, I set a filter to capture all the events related to PID 3888 notepad.exe. You can see some of the file operations that were captured and the file path or registry path the actions occurred on and the operation result. Procmon will capture thousands upon thousands of events occurring within the operating system. The option to capture events can be toggled on and off. In the Procmon example, the session captured events only for a few seconds. Look at how many events were captured in that short space of time. To use Procmon effectively, you must use the filter and must configure it properly. In the above image, a filter was already set to capture events associated with 3888. Alternatively, a filter could have been set to capture events with the process name is equal to notepad.exe. So we are given a guide on configuring the Process Monitor. I'll mention this in the description. So let's come to our next tool, PSExec. PSExec is a lightweight telnet replacement that lets you execute processes on other systems, complete with full interactivity for console applications, without having to manually install client software. PSExec's most powerful uses include launching interactive command prompts on remote systems and remote enabling tools like ipconfig that otherwise do not have the ability to show information about the remote systems. PSExec is another tool that is utilized by adversaries. This tool is associated with MITRE techniques T1570, the later to transfer, T1021.002, remote services SMB / Windows admin shares, and T1569.002, system services service execution. Its MITRE ID as 0029. So you can review this tool more in depth by visiting the sysinternals PSExec page. So basically this is also the document page given by the Microsoft. Let's come to the questions. What entry was updated? Let's go to the RDP and start autoruns. So now let's check the image hijacks tab, and we see that the task manager has been updated. So the answer is task ngr.exe. So the question is, what is the updated value of taskmanager.exe? Let's go to our remote connection and launch autoruns. We'll then go to the image hijacks tab. As you can see that there is taskmanager.exe which has been recently updated. We can go to the entry or say register editor and try to modify and copy it. So basically this is the full data path which is mentioned. So next is our security utilities. The tool which we'll be covering is Sysmon. System Monitor Sysmon is a Windows system service and device driver that once installed on a system remains resident across the system. Reboots to monitor and log system activities to the Windows event log. It provides detailed information about the process creations, network connections, and changes to file creation time. By collecting the events it generates using Windows Event Collection or SIEM agents and subsequently analyzing them. You can identify malicious or anomalous activity and understand how intruders and malware operate on your network. Sysmon is a comprehensive tool and it can't be summarized in just one section. So check out the Sysmon room. The next video which I will be going to make is the Sysmon, which will be released tomorrow, so you can all watch that. So let's check complete and go to our next tool, which is WinObject under the system information. So WinObject is a 32-bit Windows NT program that uses the native Windows NT API provided by ntdll.dll to access and display information on the NT Object Manager namespace. Official definition. To showcase this tool, let's look into the concept of Session 0 and Session 1 that was mentioned in the core Windows processor room. So remember that Session 0 in the OS session and Session 1 in the user session. Also recall that there will be at least two csrss.exe process running, as the smss.exe process creates two instances of csrss.exe, the one in Session 0 and the other one in Session 1, one for each session. So let's launch WinObj. The below image shows the default view of WinObj. Let's go to our RDP connection and launch WinObj. So this is the first screen of the WinObj. This is a Windows information tool which collects information and displays. Let's go to the session tab. These are the sessions 0, 1 and 2. So within session 0 under DDoS service there is an entry for the network drive I mounted in my local machine, the Y drive. Let's look at the Windows stations value for session 1. Let's compare this information with Process Explorer. The below image is for csrss.exe, which was launched along with winlogon.exe by smss.exe. So this is the high level exposure for this tool. As I have also mentioned in my previous video, we should use the Process Hacker or Process Explorer to get at a high level exposure. So let's park it as complete and move forward to miscellaneous. So our next tool is BGInfo. BGInfo automatically displays relevant information about a Windows computer on the desktop background, such as the computer name, IP address, service pack version and more. Official definition. This is a handy utility if you manage multiple machines. This tool or similar tools are typically utilized on servers. When a user RDP into a server, the system information is displayed on the wallpaper to provide quick information about the server, such as the server name and other fields. You can see in the image, this is the first screen in which it's also displaying the network type, OS version, and the volumes present while connecting the RDP connection. So let's come to our next tool, which is registry jump. So this little command line applet takes a registry path and makes regedit open to that path. It accepts root key in standard, for example HKey local machine, and abbreviated from HKLM, official definition. So when navigating through the registry using the registry editor, one must manually drill down to the key you wish to inspect. Basically, there are also multiple ways to query the Windows registry without using the registry editor, such as via command line, registry query, and PowerShell get item or get item property. So using registry jump will open the registry editor and automatically open the editor directly at the path. So one doesn't need to navigate it manually. So as you can see in the machine, so we are drilling down basically lots and lots of folder, but due to this registry jump we can just jump to a specific location. So let's come to our next tool, which is strings. The string just scans the file you pass it. For Unicode or ASCII, strings offer default length of 3 or more Unicode for ASCII characters. Note that it works under the Windows 95 as well. This is a tool that was used on day 21 of AOC2 to inspect a mysterious binary. The example below strings is used to search within the zoomit binary for any string containing the word zoom. Other tools fall under the miscellaneous category. I encourage you to explore these tools at your own leisure. So run the strings tools on zoomit.exe. What is the full path? What is the full path of the PDB file? Let's search. So let's run our strings tool on the zoomit.exe to find the PDB file. Oh, we should go to the desktop first. So we get the full path of the zoomit PDB. Let's copy it and paste. So let's move to conclusion. When you read the sysinternals documentation, it might hint these tools are for troubleshooting. So when you read the sysinternals documentation, it might hint these tools are for troubleshooting purposes only, but that is not entirely the case. You should know or be familiar with the sysinternals tools whether you are a desktop engineer, system analyst. So in real world scenario, as a security engineer, I had to work with vendors to troubleshoot why an agent wasn't responding on an endpoint. The tools used were procmon and procdump. So basically procexp is to inspect the agent process, its properties and associated threats and handles. Procmon is to investigate if there were any indicators on why the agent was not operating as it should. Procdump is to create a dump of the agent process to send it to the vendor for further analysis. And guess what? Asking questions about sysinternals became part of the interview questions when hiring additional staff. Remember, red teamers and adversaries even use these tools. Below are some of the additional links to further your knowledge on how to use these tools as a security analyst, security engineer, or even an incident responder. So these all blogs I will be sharing with you in the description. Thank you for watching. The room is complete.